Alright, I had an idea for a video, so, we're going for it, as we often do. I'm gonna rank 10 cool things to happen during TTA's return. There are lots of cool things I didn't mention here. These were just 10 that popped out to me, basically, in the 15 minutes of putting this video together. I'm sure there's big stuff I missed. Comment below. No one comments, but that's okay. If you have big things I missed, feel free to throw them in. They're just 10 things that really struck me as fun about TTA's return. 10th, we have Delial's stupidly good GB record. Over 2021-22, Deli averaged 110 points per GB. The next highest was 106.6. That's 3.6 ahead of the next highest that played at least 3 GBs. If you think about that, that means he's almost as much ahead of second as double, the distance between second and the average of 100 is not that much bigger than the difference between second and Delial. It's just so far ahead. Now, in 2023, he's dropped off quite a bit. That's a typo. It shouldn't say 10.4. That would be a big drop off. It's 109.4. So a slight drop off, but well within margins of error. Um, Firmly ahead. If that's not impressive, he finished top 4 in 35 out of 42 GBs. That's 5 out of 6 rate of finishing top 4, top 2 in almost 50%, and flat out won almost a third of all GBs. And so far in 2023, this is only through mid-May, he's even higher on top 2 rate. It's been ridiculous. There has been very clearly a king of GBs, and it is not close. In ninth place, we have the return of TTN. While I haven't been doing a lot of TTN, I do think the 4x4 boards and the way that randomized blocks split up the board and figuring out how you want to split up the board in favorable ways is a really interesting strategic element that you sort of. The version you see on TTA is kind of like Qs and Ts and Zs, things that split the board into pairs of two squares. But TTN has much more complicated versions of that and able to set up stuff like that from further away. And understanding those structures, I just think, is a huge and really interesting part of TTN. There's another part that's been, I think, really successful and appealing to people, is so many people have complete or close to complete TTA accounts that have been around for a while. And TTN, this entirely new thing to collect, I think, has this really nice appeal. I also think it would be pretty fun to have a tournament format sometime where, given that you can play on both sites at the same time, you have to play someone starting the game on TTA and TTN at the same time. I think that would lead to fun stuff, and I think it would be even more fun if the time control was low. Like 2 minutes, you have to play on TTN and TTN at the same time. Because the panic of making a move on one so you can have time to play on the other, I think would be really entertaining. This might favor the Akiyamas of the world too much, but I think this could be a really entertaining tournament, and someone should get on it. In eighth place, I did not think about much about the order of this, so feel free to disagree with my order. We've had so many tournaments and events. Just a list of all the player-run tourneys I came up with, but this doesn't even include Sakai's sweepstakes. Uh, there's a whole bunch of things that have been run, events of various types that this doesn't even include. But the ones I came up with were Spid's Reunion, Wee's Extravaganza, Dorf's Battle of the Decks, Hallowed Hands, Yevon's Champions League, Piggy's Proving Grounds, the RE tournament, which I forgot what it was called, so I named it Reprehensibility because that is a disgusting rule set. Tazuka's Hand Tournament, Backhander League, the Draft Cup, the Bot GB, Seto's Meme Tourney, Fun Chaos, and of course, the Doom Train Memorial, which this is probably not the video to spend time talking about. I hadn't been running them much lately due to lack of interest, but given I didn't give them an entry and they were just mentioned here, let me say I'm pleased with my bots, and they'll be running eventually. Add to that about 1 million GBs, 500,000 weekly opens, the TTN GBs, the TTN semi opens, the Fun GBs, both open and closed month-long events, the Fun World Cup, Survivors, and now the new SE Cosmos, and soon SE Kefka, as well as 4 completed majors and multiple clan events. So, a lot of stuff's happened. In 7th place, we have just old names and new. It's been so nice to see names like Nimloth appearing, CC Ace, CC Wavy, Cookie and Couse Debonair being the finals of SC Zidane. What a wild throwback feeling. Meta appeared, the Polish brothers, Great Sephiroth. And we've gotten, what's really surprised me is we've gotten people back that hadn't been on the site either for like decades, like the Cloaked one, or are genuinely new to the site and new to playing competitive here. Zernitra Adremelek is another one. Um, Again, I put this together in like 15 minutes, so I'm going to be missing so many names. And there's both a ton of players that came before me, but also a whole bunch that came after or during my time. And it's been great to see them all here. Sixth, chat coming together to locate Cookie. The Zidane run was just such a stupid affair, where Cookie is knocked out in round 3, doesn't realize it's a double elimination. That should say didn't realize he wasn't out. Again, I put this together way too quickly. Um, Cookie goes out early, and then all of chat comes together so often to be like, hey, I'm in a game with him. Should I mention you're looking for him? That the next round has started, what the rule set is, when to find you. And the difficulty of contacting Cookie made this real group team effort where it just felt like so many people were a part of creating Cookie's ridiculously obnoxious run, ending with him winning the whole tournament. And I think everyone who messaged him in chat should get to have SC Zidane for a day. Um, this was this was the most communal effort we've ever seen for someone winning a tournament. And I don't think we'll ever see something like this again. In fifth, we have another winner, Tazuka becoming a winner. I remember when I was first joining the site, I was reading like everything that had been written on the forums that I could find. It just felt like this incredible place with this rich history. And one of the things was in the Occult fans from a couple years before I joined, Tazuka was the big new player. Tazuka was the like, he just made semifinals in his first tournament. He beat some big names. This guy's really good. He's playing for AVL in major clan events already and one of their best players. That this is this really exciting player. And he'd almost disappeared by the time I joined. He, I think, played Selfie and made the semifinals in the other bracket from me, so I never played him there. And I think I caught a game there and just thought, oh, this is a really creative, interesting player. And then he was gone, and he basically came back as soon as I left. Very suspicious. But it was really cool to see him become a tournament winner. I think very deservedly so. Just one of the greats getting that kind of trophy to put on it and say, yeah, this is one of the greats. And getting a 6 icon streak at the same time, tying the all-time record. And also, he's a fun player to watch. The way he uses squares is just really different than the way I think about them. Um, there's some overlap. He's talked about during his run in TTAC, he and Piggy were kind of a team talking with each other through each round and figuring stuff out and seeing things a similar way. And they're both just very creative, interesting players. And yeah, it was great to see Tazuka get that title. In fourth, we have Yevon's Fun GB 2021. Now, he didn't win this, but I don't care about that. What I care about is he put up an extraordinary record, I believe winning over half the games he played. And he did it playing this unique, different style where he was just doing starters that I just so rarely see, and he was doing them every game. He did a few center starters, but mostly he did aggressive side starters. Mostly people play side starters where either they have combo play against the side or they can play safely next to it. He didn't care about any of that. He created 2 squares next to it where there could be safety, but his opponent never had it. He'd look for the direction he had his opponent dominated, and so if he's dominant going down and they're weak going up, he'd play an 8, which is normally the opposite of what you do. If they're weak going up, you put a card high. He had no interest in corners, no interest in safety. He would put a card in 8 and say, you don't have safety, and anything you want to play around the action, I have really powerful attacks on. And he just destroyed people with it. And it's not a starter I'd really thought about it, so it opened my eyes. It was an incredible run. It was really cool to see. It was Yevon at the height of his powers in the return, but it was not just that he was so good. It's that he was doing something so different and beating everyone that made it really fantastic. In third place, we have Midas losing. What more do I need to say? Everyone enjoys seeing Midas lose. I, you know, that's good enough to earn a high spot here. We all get a kick out of this. It's a great time. But even better than that, he lost in style. For both the tournaments I've held a match of the tournament vote, his losses won both. Midas Selder was the match of Triad Wars 14, just this really fascinating match where Selder found different ways to attack him, and Midas kept just holding together the defense really well. And you saw a bunch of different. And you saw Midas using these side starters and Selder reacting to side starters with basically every type of response, putting different types of pressure on Midas every game, making for really different fights in each game of the match. Just a really great match. And then the Midas Chickeny match has one of the best moves we'll ever see. This elemental move, it's shown on the right, where Chickeny plays in 9 as the starter, and Midas has 8, so he sets up to have 6. He plays in 3. Now against Chickeny's hand, 3 is safe, and 3 sets up Midas in 6. Chickeny can't go in 6, he can't go next to Ifrit. Either way, he'll be comboed to hell in either 6 or 8. Yet he finds this move in 8, walking into combos, because when 5677 will land in 5 later, its +1 and its numbers sticking out are so powerfully well connected to his hand and so hard for Midas to deal with that he ends up holding the tie here. And in fact, he's the one who gets some pressure out of this, despite walking into a huge setup on his starter. And the worst kind of starter to walk into a huge setup is a strong corner, because then you can't go next to it without being comboed. Here, he was completely set up on, he was comboed everywhere, and he found this move in this very irregular square to walk into everything, finding this perfect elemental synergy. I spent a while trying to figure this out when I made my video about this. It took a while to figure out the relevant lines here, and I probably still got them wrong. This was one of the most brilliant moves we've seen, and yeah, Chickeny played a phenomenal match, and this was an unbelievable move. In second place, we have Piggyman cementing his case as one of the best to never win. With his first finals run ever, he's made a bunch of semifinals, but he had never made a finals before. His win rate has always been great. He's performed really well against all levels of opposition, but he never made a finals. And here, he makes his first finals. And also, and the reason I have this in second place and so high, is he talked with me after each game. We talked for like an hour and then about the game after each game and recorded it and put up the videos. And it was just really nice to hear someone talk through their ideas. And I think I interrupted too often. I didn't do a great job, but it was really fun to hear his ideas. And then he was willing to talk with me for some reason for like an hour after about our like mutual love of the quarry and other things. And I really enjoyed it, and I really appreciated that time. And I'd like to do stuff like that again. And Piggyman was a wonderful person to talk about it with. Both made it not feel so bad that I lost to him in round 2, but also just the joy he had in playing really interesting games against Slash of Time in the third round, against Her Smokes in the semifinals. Even when he lost to Tazuka, his willingness to talk through that almost immediately after and just discuss it and figure out what happened. It was all really delightful, and I really appreciated it. So that's my second place finish. And in first, we have just getting to spend more time with you all has been great. I've had so much fun. It's been great to just pop open chat again when I'm bored during a day and see people I like and enjoy and things happening around a game I love. So thanks to all of you, even the Canadians. Uh, I held off till now, going dark and mentioning the C word, but yeah, it's been such a pleasure.